Welcome to an oversimplified guide of Destiny 2. Now guys, before we get started, I did just want to mention that this guide is to cover the very basics of Destiny. I won't be going into explaining things in depth, however, I will cover as much as I think is necessary so that you guys can dive straight into the End of the Light content coming April 9th. Especially for our newer players out there. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video, guys. Now the first thing you guys are going to encounter when you boot up Destiny 2 is a choice between three classes: a Hunter, a Titan, or a Warlock. Choosing your class in Destiny 2 doesn't matter that much, and your gameplay won't differ based on the class you choose. However, I will touch on all three classes just so that you guys can get a little bit of understanding as to what they are and you better understand Destiny as a whole. Main three differences between these classes are their abilities. Each class has something called a class ability, which is a really short cooldown ability that comes very often, and each are different compared to the three classes. This ability can be found on the bottom left hand side of your screen, and I'll mark it on screen right here. I will also be marking the other abilities in game throughout the video. Here are the three class abilities oversimplified. The Titan can put up a barricade, take cover behind. The Warlock can put down a rift that when you walk inside, heals you and your teammates. While the Hunter gains a dodge, reloading his weapons and his melee. Now the other ability that's going to be very different between the three classes is the super ability. To oversimplify it, the super ability either does a ton of damage or it makes you practically invincible. Here's a quick gameplay preview of the Titan supers. The first Titan super allows the Titan to get up close and personal, slamming hands on the ground and running around the arena. The second Titan super summons fire hammers that he can throw from a distance and light nearby enemies on fire. The last Titan super is a bubble shield, similar to the class ability, Barricade, which both the Titan and his allies can go inside, getting an overshield. Next, the Hunter supers. Some of the Hunter supers include summoning an Arc Staff, summoning a Flaming Pistol, and then summoning Void Bow. And finally, the Warlock supers, which include Nova Bomb, which is a big giant bomb, Cast Reach, which is a big laser, and Will of Radiance, which is basically a giant rift, like your class ability for Warlocks, but it heals you at an extremely high rate. This is also a good note to mention that your health is at the top part of your screen, and when you're damaged, it shows up. Along with your class ability and super, you also have a grenade and melee ability. The grenade I'm not going to touch on because it's the same across every single class. It's located here. And then you have a melee. You have two melees. One melee is just a base melee. It doesn't consume any energy, and you can do it practically infinitely. While you have a charged melee that's more like your grenade or class ability, this gets consumed and is different across every single class. Next, we're going to talk about weapons. You have three weapon slots: your kinetic slot, your energy slot, and your power weapon slot. Your power weapon slot is the easiest to understand. Your super high damage guns like your rocket launcher are going to live in here, and they don't have infinite ammo for obvious reasons. In order to get more ammo, you're going to be looking for purple ammo bricks on the ground. When you're on the ground, you're also going to find green ammo bricks. These are for your special weapons. Things like your shotguns, grenade launchers, glaives, fusion rifles. These all take special ammo, and they do a little bit more damage than your primary weapons. Now, your primary weapons have infinite ammo. These are going to be your auto rifles, hand cannons, scout rifle, and bows. A weapons video is a video in itself, so I'm going to start talking about them here just to keep things concise and that I don't confuse newer players. Next, I'm going to talk about the main activities inside of Destiny 2. But first, I want to talk about the Destination tab. The Destination tab is where you're going to see all your main activities and select the game mode instead of Destiny 2. First, I want to talk about the planets. I don't want to overcomplicate planets, so I'm specifically just going to tile them as a free roam type activity instead of Destiny 2, where there aren't specific objectives. There are little mini objectives on each planet, but I'm not going to cover them in this video to overcomplicate things. I'm going to be mainly in this video talking about the three main core activities in Destiny 2: Vanguard, Crucible, and Gambit. These can be found at the top of the screen, along with the Legends tab, which I'll get to in a second. First, we're going to talk about Vanguard, specifically the Vanguard Ops.
Hey, hero. I thought you might come back here. What with your buddy getting laid out?
Essentially what the Vanguard Ops are is an activity where you go into a strike in Destiny 2, you go through, defeat enemies, and then you reach a boss at the end. And you get some pretty good loot. This is some just classic Destiny content where you just are killing stuff. It's not complicated, it's mindless, and you can just go ahead and shoot and do whatever you want. This is a great activity for beginners in Destiny 2, and I highly recommend it being one of the first things you check out. Next is Crucible, or PvP. I'm not going to talk too much about this because I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, but most of the game modes are either 3v3 or 3v6, capture the flag, or elimination, and you just go in and it's PvP. It's pretty self-explanatory, and just go check it out and see for yourself. The next core activity is Gambit. It's a PvEvP activity, and I can't really recommend it to newer players. It is pretty confusing and not well explained enough, although I recommend checking it out once you get a good understanding of the game. The last thing I'm going to touch on is the Legends tab. This is some of Destiny's best content, although I don't recommend it to newer players as it's not match made and it requires some level of skill set that you quite don't have yet. Progression. Progression in Destiny 2 is one of the main reasons as to why I had to make this video in the first place. The route at which you're supposed to progress in this game does kind of change if you're willing to pay money, but I'm going to assume that everyone watching this video is going to go free to play. Now once you make it past the first opening scene in Destiny, you're going to be greeted in the Cosmodrome by Shao-Han, and then you're going to want to go to the Skip New Light campaign. This is going to take you straight into Destiny's best content. You can play the New Light campaign if you want, but it's best if you completely skip the New Light campaign because it's relatively boring. It doesn't explain the game well. Now guys, once you skip the New Light campaign, you're going to be asked to pick a subclass. I recommend sticking to the featured one as that is honestly the best choice. However, if you want to read the descriptions, they are pretty accurate, and I would refer back to the super showcase I showed you at the beginning of the video. Once you guys skip the New Light campaign, you guys should immediately go to the Brave Arsenal and check out the treasure chest by Lord Shaxx. This chest will immediately bring your power level up to the powerful cap of 1800, which is a powerful jump of 200 power level, which I highly recommend doing if you want to play harder content, and will get you up to speed with the rest of Destiny 2. This will allow you to play activities that you wouldn't normally be able to play, or you'd be able to play it after months or weeks of grinding. Now once you guys do get this chest, the easiest 3 things that I can recommend are going to be the Guardian ranks, unlocking abilities, and playing through the Into the Light content. The first is Guardian ranks. Guardian ranks is a really good system for newer players, as it walks you through the basics of the game slowly. I totally recommend going through the first couple ranks on your own just to learn the foundations of the game. The next thing I recommend doing is visiting Ikora and picking up some of the quests she offers. She offers some quests that teach you about your subclasses, your supers, and how to build craft. These are really foundational elements for a new player in Destiny 2, and I highly recommend checking out these quests. But if you're not going to do any of these things, I would honestly just recommend diving into the Into the Light content, adding a bunch of free content to the game, and content that will enormously increase the power of New Lights. My goal was to keep this video short, guys, so that's it for today's video. I really hope you guys do find this helpful. Make sure to post any questions in the comment sections or tips in the comment sections, and I will get to them. This video, again, does not go super in depth, but I just want to give the touch points of what you really just need to know if you want to play this game, and dive straight into the newer content. And with that, Guardians, I will see you Starside.